Hello, everybody. We're here with the Local Authors Book Club, the few folks who could make it with us today. And we're going to have a special sort of thing. It's kind of called a showcase of a lot of the local authors' books. I'm going to show them on screen, and folks at home, most of those will have an email or a website address associated with them, if they have one that I'm aware of. And so watch for that. Okay, there's a wide range of books. There's some nonfiction, there's fiction, there's mystery. So, this is going to be fun. Okay, I'm going to do better back here. And let's see if there's a way to get this bigger. This moved out of the way. Okay, here we go. They're alphabetical by the last name of the author, so we'll start here. Chris Beaker. Chris writes a series of mystery books. And Chris, do you want to talk about what you put out on these two and what you have in the works right now?
Okay, so these are humorous murder mysteries that take place in Spokane. They're meant to elicit a laugh or two. And the detectives, Rex Begonia and Ivy Lizzie, are with the Spokane Police Department, and they are solving crimes that happen here in Spokane, with some of our iconic events as backdrops to the stories. So the first mystery takes place at Manitou Park with the Lilac Festival as a background. And the second mystery, Blood on Bloomsday, takes place with Bloomsday as the background. And I'm working on a third story right now, Horror at Hoop Fest, in which the basketball 3-on-3 tournament takes place as the background to the story. And there's lots of wordplay and just fun and mayhem that take place during these stories.
All right. Good.
Is there anything more you wanted me to say, or?
No, that's fine. That's great. Now this slide, this is of Asa Marie Bradley. She has tons and tons of books, but I just wanted to include the one most recent that I was aware of that she came out in paperback, and so you could see it. Beth Camp, this is number 4 in her McDonald Clan series, and Beth will be with us for the next group on November 1st to do a presentation about her book. So that's one to look forward to. And Spirits of the Columbia, this was sent to me at some point, and I don't know much about it, so I can't speak to its contents really. It's about I believe it's fiction, but it's about the area of the Columbia River. So if anybody knows much about that one, maybe you can let me know. Aurora Downing is the pen name of one of our members, and she moved to California some time back, I think about the time of the pandemic. And she writes, this was a sort of an inter-country, well, Japanese and American, a love story. So that's a nice one. This one, Tori Element, this is also a pseudonym, And of course, someone, this is sci-fi, but this book is available locally. Sue Eller was with us for the group back in July. And instead of having the time to spread all these out, this was what I had set out at the time. She has her Emily Trace mysteries. And so they're mysteries and they're very entertaining and well written. One that we had some time back is Tabitha Gregory's nonfiction about a town in Alaska that was literally moved from one location to another because of the big earthquake that had hit. And so, and I think that's about 20 years ago or so. And there was this kind of an anniversary recently. So that's what this one is about. Mercy and Madness is by another local author, Beverly Lamberger Hodgkins, and she wrote about Dr. Mary Archer Latham's tragic fall from female physician to felon. And I believe it had something to do with taking care of women and getting in trouble for it. So this is back away. It's kind of it's a true story, but it's fictionalized. Joan Kopp could not be with us today, and she wrote this book about her, I believe her great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, something like that, back in the Civil War. And it's interesting biography of him. And she's working on something, I believe, that's fiction, and we'll know more in the future. Steve had to leave to take care of construction on his pool, I guess. I don't know. But these are 3 of his books in a series. He's talked about these before and actually done a presentation with us on them. At least, well, some of these presentations occurred at the Inland Northwest Writers Guild meetings, which are separate from this event. So they're very good too. Bill Link is a local writer who sent me this sometime back, I think last year. And this is a science fiction. Obviously, you got somebody there and wrapped up in something. It's sort of a horror movie. And, oh, Steve Lalonde's back. I'm going to back up just a hair so he can see. This is what you missed just now, Steve. So, do you have anything you'd like to say about them? If you're able to and turn on your mic, you could mention. I know you've got another one coming out, I think, don't you? He may not be. Said he was coming back in, but he may not be online. We'll get back in a minute. Sandra Mason wrote this book about the fire over in that actually burned a lot of Wallace, Idaho, I believe. But anyway, the huge fire that went on, and it's a fictionalized account of a fireman and his crew, and that were real people. And he did a nice story about them. Dave McChesney leads, or doesn't lead, but he does the newsletter and everything for Spokane authors and self-publishers, and he loves the long ships. And so he writes a lot of key stories, and he's got some other things, I believe, in the works too. But in any event, that one. Patricia Meredith has moved to Colorado. This was the series she started. And I honestly, has anybody here, are you aware if she's added to that series at all? Or let's see here.
I'm not sure, Linda, but I think she's going to be at the MAC on October 14th.
At the what?
At the Museum of Arts and Culture.
Oh, gotcha.
Talking about her series.
Oh, neat.
Is that, this is Tiffany. It's now the Bing Crosby Theater, I think.
No, this is the museum.
Oh,
The
The
Met is
museum,
still
I-
around?
yes.
Okay,
Not gonna be at the museum?
Well, I think because there's that connection with the Campbell House,
Yeah. Mhm.
I think this is part of the MAX, the Museum of Arts and Cultures, events
Ah,
that they're having her speak.
but you're supposing now that it's gonna take place at the Bing?
I haven't heard that it's changed.
Okay, well, I will check it out and try to post about it on Facebook for those of you who are there, okay? Move this up over here, get it out of my way. There we go. Janet Newton was with us for the local authors book group in April. And this is her series of books about whales. And I think she may be adding another one. These are fictionalized and historical novels for those that might be into that kind of book.
They want myself,
Okay, I muted him. Then recently Trent Reedy was with us for the group, and he has an entire series. I think he's moving into a slightly different series as well for young people, but in any event, he's got lots of books and very popular. Cafe Rita, she's got, I think I have another screen for her here as well. Yeah, this is one she had in the past, Messages for a Guarded Heart. And then the one that I think she put out a new issue of this updated one, Keep Walking, Your Heart Will Catch Up. It's about walking the Camino de Santiago, that she did. Let's see. Carrie Schaefer presented us with her books recently, either here or at the Guild meeting. And this is 3 different series that she has. Dead Before Dying, which is the one I really like, The Dream Runner, and from the series is called The Dream Wars, and the Between trilogy, which is kind of a fantasy one. So she writes in 3 different genres, and she's a great writer. So if you have any interest in things like that, these that you see on the top here are websites where I have them. Jerry Shellhammer produced this book some time back, A Man's Passion. It is something that I'm not sure where that may be available right now. You might try Auntie's, but Eric Schubaugh is not with us. Eric is leading the effort for a special event to take place in April. He wants to hold it at Auntie's, and it'll involve a limited number from each group, each writer's group of participants who want to be there and have signings for their book. So you can watch for news of that in the next bulletin and on my website pages. And I threw this one in because I thought you might be interested. Sharma Shields is a well-known local author, and she writes fiction. The Cassandra is a wonderful book that she wrote a few years back, and it's about a young woman who was down at Hanford and was able to sort of tell what was going to happen as a Cassandra. That's what a Cassandra does. Historic, in mythology. But and what she had to put up with people from them, seeing her as weird and strange. Sasquatch Hunter is a little bit different. That's about a man who keeps looking for the Sasquatch, and it also is about his family relations related to that thing that he keeps doing all the time. Sometimes those things are not easy for the family to put up with. But Herb, you want to say anything about your book?
Well, the two you're showing on the screen is about an extended family of Mennonites in Ukraine. And first edition starts in 1894 as the family's returning from the United States because they thought we were too politically unstable and moved back to Ukraine. And it goes from 1894 to 1922. In fact, last month was the 102nd anniversary of when they finally got out of Russian territory. But we're fleeing the revolution and stuff. And the second one picks up in 1922 and goes to the early 60s, and it covers both the family members that made it to North America and Canada and the United States, and a couple of sisters that stayed behind in Ukraine and went through Holodomor and World War II and Russian concentration camps and stuff. And of course, the ones that are in the United States, there's some history in it from, I call them fiction because, you can't, but everything is historically accurate. It even has the book number 2 has a couple chapters about history of the area around here, the logging in Priest Lake and stuff, because they homesteaded in Newport for a while.
Fascinating. And you've got some other things coming up too. Once we get through with the screenshot here, if you've got things to show us, we can do that, okay?
Sure. Oh, and these I'd say are PG-15. There's no heaving bosoms, but because of the violence of war and stuff, I'd say PG-15.
Okay, gotcha. Palela, I don't think is with us today. She had a conflict, but the book that I'm familiar with for her fairly recently is the first in what I think is going to be a series, the Kennett Lawn Sagas, and it's about a character called Clara, and that's about all I know about it, really. So, but there's her website. If you want to jot that down or anything, you can certainly visit that. And or if you're not able to make notes about it today, let me know, and I can, email me, and I can send it to you. Okay. Frank Zafiro, I think he's the last that I'm showing. I've got this and then another screenshot to follow this, but a couple of his series, the Stephen Kopriva mystery, Stanley Melvin PI story. So there are a couple of different flavors of things that Frank writes. And yes, I've got this right now. This is something that he showed us fairly recently. The River City series, I think, or the River Cities book that he claimed. Calls himself the River City author. Gritty crime fiction from both sides of the badge. Okay, so if you have interest in that, I really like the way he does some of his promotional layout work too. So, and that's it for the screen share part. If I can find my. Okay, and I'm back with you. And so, let's see, we had some folks that wanted to talk about more. Dwight, did you have your book or something you can hold up and talk about it?
Definitely. Thank you again. So, hi everyone. My name is Dwight Thompson, aka The Right Warrior, which was supposed to be my pen name. But then when I was making my Amazon author account, I realized that it would make more sense for me to keep my real name as my author's name. And I ended up using The Right Warrior as my business name. It got a little complicated somewhere. So I'm working on a series called Pine Cones and Spaceships. And my family and I moved here from Florida during the COVID pandemic. And we were able to find a place, get situated. But we had a lot of adventures. We found a lot of interesting places, Spokane, Moses Lake, Cheney, and so forth. And we also were able to vend and sell our art and our books and everything. So we started a website called poetryandpainting.com, where you can go online and you can order my autograph copies of my books and also order custom made paintings. So we do like pets and portraits and so forth, the whole 9 yards. So the first book is called, I've got to hold it against my shirt so my background don't disrupt it. It's called Pivot by Dwight Thompson. And it is more of a, oh, this sun is way bright. It's more of a poetry, mental health memoir. And it chronicles my journey from Florida to here. And like I always say, what is 3,000 miles between friends, right?
Yeah.
So it's about mental health and finding yourself and knowing who you are and your purpose and so forth. And earlier this year, I came out with book number 6, which is Inner Sanctum, Protecting My Peace Through Poetry. And this is my, as I call it, my heavy, heavy poetry book. So there are 30 poems in here. It's 150 pages, 10K words. The font is 18-point font because I'm very sensitive to ADA compliance and folks with glasses. You know, I might be the oldest person in the room right now. So I acknowledge that. And the poems cover community and family and life, and there's all different aspects of the universe and faith and everything. And in addition to that, what I wanted to do, and this was my youngest daughter's insistence, is I developed a workbook and vision journal. Now, if you are an accomplished writer, this won't do anything for you. You know, if you are an author already, you're fine. This is for folks who, and I say, they'll say, oh, I did a poem when I was in high school, or I used to write when I was younger. This is what I call a poetry igniter. You know, so in there is like 250 pages of like writer's prompts, daily affirmations, like stuff like leadership is a burden. Don't be caught in the loop. You know, I will not be humiliated. You know, and stuff for them to write about, think about, and this section that says, okay, write a letter to yourself when you were 10 years old. You know, just to make folks think and rejuice themselves and get back to the writing path. That's the paperback, and this is the hard copy. Now, this is one of my passions. I was trying to use, and Linda, you mentioned you can only take JPEGs. I was trying to upload this most beautiful cover I had, and Amazon kept rejecting it. And after about a whole week, I said, you know what? Forget this. What is your template looking like? And they had a green template, and I just typed the title in. It rejected my original title several times. So now it says Dwight Thompson's Workbook and Vision Journal, which I'm not egotistical, but it was the only way they would accept the rest of the title, Workbook and Vision Journal. So I'm like, you know what? Never mind. Here we go. Let's make it happen.
There you go.
Yeah, so, and right now I'm working on a series with some local poets from Walla Walla, from Tri-Cities, and from Spokane. And we're trying to do like a collab work where we can do a anthology of sorts. You know, so trying to figure out how that's going to work with your social media and everything. I'm also working on getting my works out there. So I just did a book launch over at Books and Games over in Walla Walla. And I'm working on 2 book launches, hopefully in the Tri-Cities area. And then when we run back around again, you know, my 7th and 8th book, which are going to be like so crazy. So my 7th book is a introduction to poetry. And it's going to be basically like a breakdown of poetry. And it goes from why are there poets, the history of poetry, the types of poetry, the forms of poetry, And then for each example of the type of poetry, I have a poem that's there that shows and illustrates the style and the technique and everything.
Wow.
And then I finish off in that book with basically a rambling essay that talks about how poets represent the heart of the world, in
Yeah.
that poetry is able to capture society as it is and what's happening and reflect it back and encourage others to also find that within themselves to express themselves, you know. And I have a story I'm working on, which is available right now on Amazon Kindle Vella. And if you're not familiar with Amazon Kindle Vella, it's basically, think of it like a Ask Anne or Ask Jeeves kind of thing, where it's just a story that you put up, and if you like it, you click yes, and you read the next story. So it's called Tales of Werewolf, and it's basically a story of a man who wakes up on an island and he has no memory. It does sound a little bit like the plot of the movie with Mr. Wilson and Tom Hanks, but it's not. And so he has to explore the world, not speaking the language, not knowing anything. And so that's the current series I put up, and I upload maybe once a month, you know, just whenever I have the time. And it's like my freedom exercise. And if any of you are familiar with Stephen R. Donaldson and his writing style, that is what that is like. So it's very descriptive, and it's a slow read. It takes its time, but I wanted to just allow the readers to be immersed in this world and this picture I'm painting.
Uh-huh.
So
Wonderful. Well, do send me all the, you know, whatever information you've got in your press kit, but I particularly, if you've got anything you want me to put on the website, I need JPEG.
definitely.
Right. Chris, did you want to say anything in additional about, you've got something, you mentioned your next one coming out, so you got that covered, right? You've got another one you're working on.
I do have another one coming out. The title is Horror at Hoop Fest, and it should be coming out late winter, early spring.
Okay, sounds good. Steve, where are you on yours? I showed Anisi, I showed 3 of your books. Am I missing something? You're muted. You're muted, so I can't hear you.
Strymon is the one that's missing of that series.
Okay.
And that's the one that you read, that I brought to you. And I find it kind of interesting, the comment about waking up on an island and not having any memory, because that's how that one starts out as well.
Yeah. That may be why I didn't have the photo of the cover in my stock, because I got the book from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can do me a favor and send me a JPEG of that cover, I will get on it. Okay.
Okay. You bet.
Included, and let's see who else we got. Tonda, I know, doesn't have. Herb, why don't we go back to you? We showed a couple of your books. Did you have any you wanted to show on screen? And you're muted, so if you want to talk to me, I can't hear you. You have to unmute.
I keep hitting the wrong button.
I know.
A lot of people wish I'd stay muted.
Yeah.
Yeah, my other series, which is a little different, it's more of a PG-18 thing, but it's about a time-traveling nurse practitioner. In the modern day, she's dissatisfied and she makes some bad mistakes. The whole series is about making mistakes and learning to live or die with them. But, you know, the first volume is where she goes back to 1572 Antwerp in her time travels, and learns some lessons and comes back to modern day. And the second one, she's back in modern day and she's now a war widow, and her 16th century blacksmith boyfriend time travels to modern day, and he's wandering around Eastern Washington trying to figure out what the hell's going on. He has no clue what's happening, so he becomes a cowboy, a ranch hand in the Palouse. And the third one is a little further in the future and more modern day. And her son is now 18 and makes some huge mistakes. And it involves world crime syndicates and everything else, when he breaks the heart of his high school girlfriend. And each one, the time traveling tapers off a little as you go along, but there's a little in each book. And there's a fourth one in the series where it all kind of wraps up with a Greek crime lord coming over and going head to head with a family of Hutterites. But anyhow,
Your books go all over the place.
well, you know how it is.
I do.
Get too much caffeine too early in the morning.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Be sure I get JPEGs of anything you want me to put on the website and, other stuff. And Steve wants to show the cover of his book. That's the Strymon title. I love that cover too. And I've got the photo somewhere. I just be darned if I can find it. Paul, did you have anything that you wanted to show? You're muted.
No, I don't have anything to show, but I did have one thing to say that Mr. Thompson reminded me of. I've been following the nonfiction writers group. I don't know, have it right handy, but they have a special on how to talk about your books, how authors should learn to speak. And Mr. Thompson reminded me of that because I have never liked poetry, but he made it sound interesting, and particularly the book about why poetry. And so being able to talk is really an important part in selling books. And anybody who wants to, there's a seminar coming up on it, a little pricey, but they have the Nonfiction Book Association or Writers Association has free seminars from time to time about all kinds of different subjects. I think it might bear some looking into.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm going to go to Tiffany. You had asked if there was something you thought you might want to show or mention that you're working on. And you're muted right now, so.
Yes, I do. And I don't know how to keep myself seen or turn this right side. I know this reads backwards.
No, it does not. We see it forward.
Awesome. Okay.
Move it a little to your left.
My left.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I'm just going to read the back cover.
Okay.
Freedom Seeker is a journey to independence, which is meant to help people who are trying to make their own choices in life. Tiffany Harvey Tiffany Harvey tells her own life story in the hopes that readers will learn how to make their own decisions.
Mm-hmm.
The suggestions and questions throughout this book are guidelines to help the reader know what will help them learn what they value in life, basically. And somebody wrote, suggestions in Freedom Seeker are good suggestions for everyone.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
And somebody wrote, I wish every girl in high school could read these books. Women in shelters should read them. What a difference that would make. Her name's Ellen that
Wonderful.
wrote that. And then this one is Freedom Seeker. Do I have it in the right spot? Can you see
Pull
this?
it back,
We're
pull it back a
seeing,
little bit.
we're seeing the same title.
No, this is seeking, not seeker.
Okay.
Mm.
The
Yeah.
eagle is black, the other one was white.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anyways, this is the workbook that you can fill out
Oh,
to be able to identify, this is why I believe the way I believe.
okay.
I'm of such and such a faith. These are my doctors. So then, and now I'm going to tell you, like Terry Schiavo, who she's 25 years old, had a heart attack, and she died at age 41. So from 25 to 41, but she was in a semi coma that whole time after she had her heart attack.
Wow. Can you move
And
a little bit forward, Tiffany? There you go.
yes, I can.
There we go.
Anyways, because of that situation, our federal government made some laws regarding it, like an incapacitated person type law,
Mhm.
that you cannot make the decision that the person, the next of kin or whatever, cannot make the decision to let you go if you didn't write it down, basically. And that's what Terry had told her husband that she wanted. And her parents were like, let us take care of her. So is her brother. And anyways, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court at that point. So
Wow.
and finally it was yes, her husband has the right to let her go
Wonderful.
because he's next of kin.
Mhm.
Not all people would want that. So the most important thing that's come out of all of this that that her husband promotes is medical advance directives. And they also came up with a mental health advance directive sometime later. And so, I mean, anyone who knows me knows my favorite colors are purple and hot pink. I mean, if you know me well enough on a personal level, if you put me in a place with orange or yellow, I'm gonna climb the wall. I do not like those colors. I mean, I like them in the rainbow, but I don't like them in solid color. My husband bought me something orange once before. I mean, this was when we were first getting to know each other.
Mhm.
And I'm like, thank you. And I explained to him what the issue was. But then I have two other books
Mhm.
that I don't think I have the covers for right now.
Okay.
A Journey to Independence and Growing Independent. And those two set of books are especially for people who struggle with written English. So it's like I will say something and then I'd say, this means, and then and this is for some of the most basic things,
Mhm.
because most of the people that I know have intellectual disabilities.
Mhm.
But I found out that a lot of the people who would benefit from my books are victims of violence, so they can become survivors, and teenagers as a means of prevention, you know, your parents or guardians might always say, you shouldn't do that. No, you can't do that. But if you're not trained to know why or how, that becomes an issue.
I got it.
And going,
I gotta cut you. We've got a couple more people and we've only got another 10 minutes, Tiffany. I'm thinking this is a wonderful topic. And if you will send me just the titles or anything like that, I'll try to see what I can find. And if I can't, I'll let you know, and maybe you can have someone send me cover photos, okay?
okay, well, I put
Yes, I saw that.
okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Because I wanted to get to Paul. Somebody asked if you knew where that is. That an online thing, the Nonfiction Writers Association? Because I think I get an email from them regularly. Yeah, and you're muted, so
If you would allow me to share my screen, I'll show it to you.
sure.
We are a very professional group, very active and somewhat expensive. But
Oh yeah.
I haven't joined, but I have gotten a lot out of their free seminars that preface their actual courses. Like here's the course on speaking course for authors. If you can't speak about your book, people aren't going to take it very seriously. So you either don't speak about it or you learn how to speak. And that's what they're talking about here.
That is
Another one coming up is, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was considering that and it was too expensive for me.
Yes. But even if you don't join, the freebie stuff that you get, the promotion stuff,
freebies. Yeah,
can be really interesting, useful.
yeah.
I sat in on one of their seminars on how to write a marketable, what do you call it? Not memoir, marketable memoir. And the leader there, the person who gave the talk, did an absolutely beautiful job of telling us how to make it marketable instead of just being a story about myself or about somebody.
I don't want to cut you off really, Paul, but this event today is about showing readers who might be looking for books. But I would love to have you come to the guild meeting mid-month and share some of this, because we're having a discussion of marketing tips.
Okay.
So that'd be great. Thank you. Denise, and you're muted, so if you want to show anything or talk about, you had a book you sent me recently, said would be coming out, or?
Yeah, it's on pre-order. The ebook is on pre-order on Amazon right now, but I'm doing the paperback through Ingram Spark, so it should be showing up here. Well, it's the whole formatting everything and getting that all loaded and everything, but doing pre-order. It's called All Things Lost, post-apocalypse story. And
what's the genre?
I'm kind of post-apocalypse. I'm doing kind of two timelines in it, so it's kind of during and then after. Been working on it for a while. It's the one I workshopped down in New Mexico, so it's the one. It's gonna be a trilogy, but it's about, I don't know, love and loss and post-apocalypse. Usually you strip away everything and then see what you have left.
Yeah.
So we're working on I'm working on getting that all done. It's I'm just at that point where I'm trying to get everything uploaded, and I've always gone with a small so it's a publisher, so it's the first time I've done it all on my own. So it's taking a while,
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's just a lot of work involved.
there is a lot of work involved in it, and I appreciate that a lot more now. But yeah, it's kind of one of my, special projects. It's my first full-length novel. I've always done like short stories and novelettes that I've sold. So I'm happy with it so far. It's just the process getting it out there.
And it'll
and then
be
getting people
good.
all the marketing. So
If it's on Ingram, it'll be good, because if it's at least returnable and got the proper discount, then we'll be able to order the copies from Anthony's bookstore, so that'll be good.
oh good.
Well, I'm going to assume that the recording can be stopped at this point. Thank you so much, all of you, for doing this and being with us today and sharing your information. And I will stick around for a little bit for comments, but otherwise, I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you.